Okay, let me show you how easy it is to fit a specialized saddle. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. We'll fit the width, we'll fit the arch, and we'll fit the angle. Let me show you how to begin by fitting the width. We'll take this Eurolight. We have 3/4 inch pads on it like it came from the factory, and we'll set it on his back. We'll overlap the shoulder slightly, put it a little too far forward, and to position it I like to move it back, and you can kind of feel it stop when the dip in the tree drops down into the dip of his back and it matches. We're overlapping the back 20% of this protrusion here, but we can do this without interfering with the movement of the scapula. As we look here, we see that we have a nice 1/4 inch gap. That's about what I like at the front, is a little bit of gap here. This is an allowance for the saddle pad that we're going to put under the saddle. If we fit to the horse and then we add the pad, we've added some thickness to the horse, and we can introduce it being a little tight in the shoulders, lifting it up in the front, and maybe even some bridging from too much padding. We'll talk more about that later. But initially I like this, but I see that I have a significant gap right down here. So this horse's shoulder angle is a little steeper than the 45 degrees of the bar. Now this is a wedge-shaped void. In order to evaluate the void, loosen the pad and make the pad fit the horse. Our goal is for the pad front to rear to uniformly contact the horse. So we see that we have a void right here. Now we're going to use a wedge shim to fill this. Let's take a look at your shim kit now. This is the shim kit that comes with your saddle. When you open it, you'll find it contains 2 pair of wedge shims and 2 flat shim strips. The wedge shims come in 2 sizes, 3/8 and 1/2 inch. A common compass, like we used in grade school to draw a circle, is a handy tool to measure the gap that you're going to want to select your wedge shim with. To use it, put the pad to the horse, and on the edge of the bar, take a measurement of this width. So we'll measure the space between the pad and the bottom edge of the bar. Pick the right thickness shim that approximate that. Now I like to say less is more when shimming. Pick a shim slightly smaller than your actual gap, which is I'm doing here. If you perfectly fill it, it can be a little snug and sometimes create a pressure thing. So about just slightly less than the space or that we measure is the shim size that I select. When you're going to install the wedge shim, don't ever put it here in the middle like this. It's important that this shim only be on the lower part of the bar. This bottom half is the area of concern with our wedge shims. So we measured from the inside bottom edge of the bar to the neoprene pad. We saw that that space is just slightly more than a 1/2 inch. We're going to use our 1/2 inch wedge shim right here. Now we'll put this back on. Now we like for this pad to be even with the front of the bar. I used to put the pads up even with this leather, but I found that by backing the pads up a little bit and making it flush with the top of the bar, I created a little bit more room for that shoulder area. Now let's talk about the shoulder area here. In a lot of horses, this shoulder, as they're used and they get fitter, really begins to develop, and they get wider and bigger right here. And this area of overlap is often a tight spot, and this is a critical fit area. We like to have a little gap like we've achieved here. We want to put some weight on it. And with some weight, I see that I'm touching. So I don't have quite the gap that I would like. Let me show you how to fix that. Take a common hoof rasp, just like a farrier might use to trim one of your horses. These are available at most feed stores. Take the coarse side of it, lay the fitting pad on the table, hold the rasp at a 45-degree angle, and bevel that front. Once you've done that, take the smooth side and smooth up your bevel, trim off the excess. Now by beveling that, I've created the additional space that I want to allow for full freedom of those shoulders. And when I add my saddle pad, I know it's not going to be tight.